What if I told you that the thing you're most afraid of is something that almost never happens? Think about it. How many decisions have you delayed because of what people might think? How many opportunities have you ignored because someone could judge you? How many times have you stayed silent when you wanted to speak? How many times have you held yourself back? Not because you couldn't do it, but because you were worried about being seen doing it. And here's the strange part. Most of those people weren't thinking about you at all. Hello everyone, and welcome back. Tonight, I want to talk about one of the biggest illusions people carry through life. An illusion so powerful that it quietly controls their decisions, their confidence, their happiness, their future. The illusion that everybody is watching, that everybody is judging, that everybody cares. But here's the truth. Most people are too busy thinking about themselves to spend much time thinking about you. And honestly, that should be one of the most freeing realizations of your life. Because think about your own day. How much time do you spend analyzing random strangers? How much time do you spend worrying about what a person you passed 3 hours ago was wearing? How much time do you spend replaying somebody else's embarrassing moment? Probably not much, because you're busy thinking about your own problems, your own future, your own insecurities, your own responsibilities, and everybody else is doing exactly the same thing. Yet somehow, we walk through life believing we're standing under a spotlight, like the entire world is observing every move we make. Psychologists actually have a name for this: the spotlight effect. The tendency to believe people notice us far more than they actually do. And it affects almost everyone. It affects the person afraid to start a YouTube channel, the person afraid to go to the gym, the person afraid to post their work online, the person afraid to ask a question, the person afraid to make a mistake, the person afraid to begin. Because deep down, they're not afraid of failure. They're afraid of being seen failing. And those are two very different fears. Think about that. If nobody could see your mistakes, how many things would you try? How many risks would you take? How many dreams would you finally pursue? Because sometimes the thing standing between you and your future isn't lack of talent, isn't lack of intelligence, isn't lack of opportunity. It's the fear of judgment, the fear of looking foolish, the fear of not being immediately good. And honestly, that fear has stolen more dreams than failure ever could. Because failure at least teaches you something. Fear teaches you nothing. It only keeps you standing still. And the cruel irony, most people are too busy worrying about themselves to spend much time judging you. The person at the gym, they're thinking about themselves. The person scrolling social media, they're thinking about themselves. The stranger who saw you make a mistake, they probably forgot about it 5 minutes later. But you remember it for years. And that's what makes this trap so dangerous. People forget your mistakes quickly. You don't. People move on quickly. You don't. People stop thinking about your embarrassing moments almost immediately. You keep replaying them again and again and again until a 5-second moment becomes a 5-year limitation. And maybe that's happening right now. Maybe there's something you've wanted to start for months, maybe even years. A business, a project, a channel, a skill, a dream. But every time you're about to begin, a question appears. What will people think? And maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe the better question is, what will happen if I never start? Because years from now, the embarrassment won't matter. The awkward beginning won't matter. The criticism won't matter. But the regret, that stays. The regret of never trying. The regret of never finding out who you could have become. The regret of choosing comfort over growth. That stays much longer than judgment ever does. And honestly, most people never realize something important. People rarely remember your failures, but you will remember the opportunities you never took. And that's why understanding this changes everything. Because once you realize nobody is paying as much attention as you think, you become free. Free to learn, free to fail, free to improve, free to look stupid, free to grow. Because growth always looks awkward in the beginning. Nobody starts confident, nobody starts successful, nobody starts impressive. Every expert was once a beginner. Every confident person was once insecure. Every successful person was once unknown. The difference is, they stopped waiting for permission, and they stopped letting imaginary audiences control their lives. Maybe it's time you do the same. Because the truth is simple. Nobody cares as much as you think they do. And that's not depressing. It's liberating. Because if nobody is watching, then maybe you're finally free to become whoever you want to be. But maybe the biggest cost of caring too much about other people's opinions isn't embarrassment, it's delay. Because every year you spend worrying about judgment is another year you don't spend building your life. Think about that. How many people never start the business, never start the channel, never apply for the opportunity, never approach the person they like, not because they can't, but because they're afraid of looking foolish. And honestly, looking foolish is part of the process. Nobody learns without making mistakes. Nobody becomes confident without first feeling insecure. Nobody becomes great without first being average. That's the price of growth. And maybe social media made this even worse, because now you don't compare yourself to your neighbors. You compare yourself to millions of people. The best moments, the biggest achievements, the most successful versions of everyone else's lives. And slowly, you start believing everyone has life figured out except you. But that's an illusion too. Because behind every confident person, there are insecurities. Behind every success story, there were failures. Behind every polished image, there is a reality you cannot see. And maybe that's why chasing approval is so dangerous. Because approval constantly moves. No matter what you achieve, someone will still criticize you. Someone will still disagree with you. Someone will still judge you. That's life. You cannot control people's opinions, but you can control whether those opinions control you. And maybe that's where freedom begins. The moment you stop asking, what will they think? And start asking, what do I want? What kind of life do I want to build? What will I regret if I never try? Because one day, years from now, most of the people you're trying to impress today won't matter. Some will disappear from your life. Some you'll never see again. Some won't even remember you. But you'll still be living with your decisions. You'll still be living with your regrets. And that's why your opinion must eventually become louder than everyone else's. Because confidence isn't believing nobody will judge you. Confidence is continuing anyway. And maybe the life you've been wanting starts the moment you realize something simple. Nobody is watching as closely as you think. Nobody is thinking about you as much as you imagine. And that's good news, because it means you're free. Free to begin, free to fail, free to learn, free to grow, free to become the person you've been afraid to be. The question is, what will you do with that freedom?